Hello and welcome to my anniversary library and thrift store book haul video. Yes, I know most people do things differently on their anniversary. It was our 38th, and we went doing errands and doing some book shopping. Well, I did. My hubby buys ebooks. So I started out at the library, and the video's downstairs right now. I picked up The Shining, which I love that I can borrow movies and TV series from the library. They're 7 days, so you do have to make sure you have a chance to watch them and get them back. The books you can have for 3 weeks, so we can spread it out. And I picked up The Shining because Jen and I, Literary Love 123, are doing a buddy read of The Shining and watching the movies, part of my Cousin It Read and Watch event for the month of October. So what else did I pick up at the library? And I had a number of these already listed, so I knew what I was going to find. First is Imminent by Luis Elizondo. I've heard this name quite a bit. Very curious about what he had to say. As you can see, I just started this, and this is published in 2024. The congressional hearings I watched just a few weeks ago are from 2025. So far, he seems to be a bit accurate as far as the government wanting answers. Whether that'll actually happen or not remains to be seen. I've also found it interesting that reading books from the 1970s, I just finished a couple of those, they were also optimistic about the truth coming out, so we'll see. Another book that I picked up was iMac for Dummies. Few little pointers I need to read over, but this is more for someone who has never used a computer. I mean, it's great in terms of how to make a document, all the basics of using the programs. This is by Mark L. Chambers. So if you're looking for a book that gives you the basic how-to, I highly recommend. If you're looking for some more in-depth things, as I was with iMovies, then the search continues. I also picked up Devolution by Max Brooks. This was a book recommended by Josh from Already Overbooked. I'd seen the review by Steve at Heroic Book Adventures. I believe he did a buddy read with Kat, Ginger Bibliophile, of this. I enjoyed the read. It's been a long time since I've read a Sasquatch scary monster book, so it was a nice revisit. I managed to finish it in a day. There's a few things I have already tabbed here, so I need to make note of that before I return my book. Another book that I really wanted to get to is The Paranormal Ranger. This is by Stanley Milford Jr. I very much enjoyed the read, finished this one in a couple of days, and to give you an idea of how much I wanted to read these books, I picked these up on Friday, October the 3rd. I'm recording this on Tuesday, October the 7th. So yes, I did a fair bit of reading over the last few days, and I'll definitely be talking more about this book and the others I mentioned in upcoming videos. Another, just because I was curious, I picked up Mirror Work, 21 Days to Heal Your Life. This is by Louise Hay. I've read some of her other works. This isn't one that I've read before, so it'll be new to me. The 21 days, if you're familiar, that's what people say it takes to change a habit. So a lot of these programs are based on doing them for 21 days consistently. I do know about her mirror exercise, looking at yourself, giving yourself positive messages. It's not something I do, but I might give it a test run and see how it goes. Continuing on with the UFO theme, because I'm definitely getting into that, both from my personal shelves and picking them up at the library. This is A Cosmic Encounter, a true story of an alien abduction. This is by Stuart W. Bench. I haven't read this before. Curious to see where this goes. Another book, and I have read this one before, is UFOs, God's Chariots, Spirituality, Ancient Aliens, and Religious Yearnings in the Age of Extraterrestrials. This is by Ted Peters. I do remember reading it before. I'll be going through, giving it a quick skim for the second time, and making more in-depth notes, as of course this will tie in with all the other books that I've been reading of late. This one I picked up just because as I was browsing, I couldn't help but chuckle as I saw the title, The Encyclopedia of Misinformation. This is by Rex Sorget. A compendium of imitations, spoofs, delusions, simulations, counterfeits, imposters, and, well, you get the idea. It's set up in an A to Z format, and I'll have to browse through and see what some of these are. Oh, I just saw there's Slender Man. We've got so many things. Pascal's Wager, don't know what that's about. A number of other things. So I'll probably just give this a quick skim, look up certain things, and find out what they have to say. The next one, and I was actually looking for a different book in the kids section, but this is The Book of Mysteries, Magic, and the Unexplained. I love the cover. This is by Tamara McFarlane, illustrated by Christina Kister. If you have young kids, I definitely suggest giving this a try. It goes through so many neat things. The images are gorgeous, so this would be, like I say, a fun book if you have young ones at home to go through and read together. I do like the books in the kids section, and yes, sometimes I do get them. I found an amazing book on the Franklin expedition in that section. So much detail and information. And what I really appreciate is there's a glossary as well as an index and then the acknowledgments. I'm finding that with a number of different nonfiction books, which if you've seen any of my bookcase tours, it's in 3 parts. The index and glossary is missing from so many nonfiction works, and that really bothers me because it means you can't look through what the author was using to do the research. It doesn't give you ideas for further readings, and no index is a real pain in the tuchus. Because if you're looking for something specific, whether it's a name or an incident, that index comes in really handy. So I wish publishers would actually ask for that. It should be a basic expectation, complete with footnotes. That's what makes nonfiction an important read. I'm not just going to believe something because it's a published nonfiction piece of work. I've found so many errors in books lately, and the people who are writing these works are professors at universities. So I want references that I can double check things. The last two books I got just for fun, and I've already flipped through both of them. This is Innovative Weaving on the Frame Loom. This is by Noreen Crone Finley. Some cute ideas. I noticed the dragon actually when I was about to start flipping through the other day, and I do enjoy different weaving patterns. This one, Huck Lace Weaving Patterns with Color and Weave Effects. We have 576 drafts and samples, plus 5 practice projects. This is by Tom Nisley. And again, it was just something to give me some different ideas, as I do enjoy weaving. I have some weaving sticks that I want to give a try, and so I just want to see if some of these patterns I can adapt to using with my weaving sticks. That is my library haul, and I'm happy to say that I've already browsed through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 of the books I've already gotten into, which just leaves 5 to finish before the due date in a few weeks. I have no doubt I'll be able to finish those, or I could always end up renewing them. So after the library, we headed to, of course, my favorite place, the Goodwill thrift bookstore. I found some amazing finds right at the front for $1, and then, of course, throughout the store. I did not, however, find those last 3 Dresden books that I'm still looking for. What did I find as my happy anniversary gift? First, I came across a Carlos Castaneda, A Separate Reality, Further Conversations with Don Juan. I also mentioned this to Alan, Big Hard Books and Classics. Looking forward to a buddy read with him about this. It's been a number of decades since I've read any of the work by Carlos, but they were certainly food for thought. Next, because the title was just too good to pass up, Nostradamus, The Final Reckoning. This is by Peter Lemazurier. I may have gotten that wrong. It's interesting because it's a year-by-year guide to our future based on the prophecies of Nostradamus, the Great Pyramid, the Bible, St. Malachi, Edgar Cayce, Arthur C. Clarke, Jean Dixon, there's a name I haven't heard for a while, and Mario de Sabato, couple of names I haven't heard of, and it literally is a year by year. He starts with a basic description, the introduction, then we get into the calendar for a generation. It goes right up to 2040. Calendar for generations to come from 2041 to 4500, and the epilogue. I'm very curious to read this, especially as this was published in 1995. I want to see what they said for 2025 considering. Next, and again it was the title that got me, The Vanishing Hitchhiker, American Urban Legends and Their Meanings. This is by Jan Harold Brunvand. This will tie in with the work by Sarah Scholes. They're already here. Her UFO book, but that focuses more on, yes, information about UFOs, but she delves into why are people interested in UFOs. So I believe this will be a similar type of book, but in relation to different urban legends. Canada Hauntings. This is by Michael Norman and Beth Scott. It's a scholastic book, a short, easy read. I also have another book by these two authors, Haunted, I believe it's called Haunted America. And what I really appreciate is that although Beth Scott has passed away, it is mentioned in the front of this book that the copyright is held by both Michael Norman and Beth Scott's estate. Next, The Unidentified. Mythical monsters, alien encounters, and our obsession with the unexplained. This is by Colin Dickey. Again, this will tie in with They're Already Here, the Urban Legend book, and I just love this cover. The next book, I wasn't sure whether I was going to go ahead and read it, but since I found Dr. Sleep by Stephen King for all of $5 for a hard copy, I figured that was a sign. After I finished The Shining, I'll be heading on to reading Dr. Sleep. That may not be until November. I'll be connecting with Jen to see if we're going to buddy read Dr. Sleep and when our schedules will be available to do that. The next one I picked up, one, I love the cover. Two, it's Norse mythology, but it is by a controversial author, Neil Gaiman. I'm sure most people have heard that whole boondoggle scenario. And yes, I did buy it at the thrift store, and I'm curious about the work. I have another one of his books that I have yet to read as well. For $1, I picked up The Mark of Athena. This is by Rick Riordan. I had read his previous series. This is from the Heroes of Olympus. It's a chunker, but thankfully it's YA and should be a relatively quick read. Unlike Dune, which is still waiting. Another author who I enjoy his work, I have a number of his other books. This is Dan Millman, The Journeys of Socrates. This, of course, comes after The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which I very much enjoyed, and that book was a rebuy. I am looking forward to reading Journeys, as this will be a new to me read. The next one, the title was just too good to pass up. This is the official dictionary of sarcasm, and this is by James Napoli. It's an A to Z. It may be the only dictionary I read front to back, quite frankly. When I saw this cover, I couldn't resist. I love the mountain scenery. This is The Pilgrimage by Paulo Coelho, and as I read the back, I knew I definitely needed to give it a read. The Pilgrimage paved the way to Paulo Coelho's international best-selling novel, The Alchemist, Ven's favorite book, that we'll be buddy reading at some point soon. In many ways, these two volumes are companions. To truly comprehend one, you must read the other. So now I'm immensely curious, because if you've been here for a little while, you do know that I've enjoyed reading The Alchemist. I do enjoy joking with Ven, who did not enjoy reading The Alchemist, but I'm very curious what Paulo has to say in this book, particularly as I do remember The Alchemist, Santiago's journey, so many important things. So now I want to find out about what's happening here. The next book, which I'm surprised isn't a bigger monster, The Everything Guide to Evidence of the Afterlife. This is by Joseph M. Higgins and Chuck Bergman, a scientific approach to proving the existence of life after death. So this, of course, will tie in with the books Paranormality by Professor Weissman and The Afterlife Frequency by Mark Anthony. One book claims to be proof that the paranormal is nonsense. The other book claims to prove that it's valid and legit. And this one claims there's scientific proof. So we'll see what happens there. The last book that I picked up, again, it was a visual. As soon as I saw it, I knew this was coming home. Again, if you've been here for a bit, or if you did the dragon tag and saw my video, Dragonology, this is Monsterology. I didn't know until I looked at the back of the book. There's actually a whole series of books like this. But like the Dragonology book, we have a beautiful cover, and throughout there are amazing diagrams, information, little pockets of things to check out. They're just fun books. So I'll have to find a special place for the Dragonology and Monsterology books, possibly somewhere on the cubes here as part of the background. That was my library and thrift store haul. Lots of fun, enjoyable reads ahead for sure. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you make use of your public library? Do you check out books to make sure that they'll still be on the shelves down the road? I know when I started searching some subjects and I knew the library used to have the titles. Sadly, they're no longer there. Means I'm going to have to look a bit harder for some of those books. So yes, I am definitely going to be getting to my public library on a more regular basis to check out the physical books because, as I've mentioned before, that's what I prefer to read. I like the book in hand. Now, of course, with the library books, I don't annotate. I use sticky notes and then I do by hand notes afterwards. But with my own books, if you've seen some of them, you know there's a reason I'm called the Book Murderer. I have lots of highlights, lots of notes, sticky notes. For me, it just makes reading that much more interactive and memorable. Let me know in the comments down below if you annotate your own books as well. Do you find it makes a difference in terms of remembering the information as well as enjoying the read more? As always, thank you so much for the gift of your time. It's always appreciated. Until next time, remember, be safe, be well, and big hugs.